Most people don't realize there is a world of difference between being alone and being lonely. At first glance, they look the same. You're by yourself, maybe no one's calling, maybe no one's texting, maybe you're walking home at night with your headphones in, while the rest of the world seems to be out laughing, smiling, and connected. But if you look deeper, alone is a state of being, while loneliness is a state of mind. Being alone simply means you're by yourself in the moment. It's neutral, neither good nor bad. Loneliness, on the other hand, is what happens when your heart and mind start to believe that your aloneness is a sign of emptiness, a sign of rejection, a sign that you don't belong. And that shift, that interpretation, makes all the difference in how you feel. You can be in a crowded room filled with hundreds of people and still feel lonely, because loneliness is not about numbers, it's about connection. At the same time, you can be sitting in your room with no one around and feel peaceful, fulfilled, even joyful, because solitude is not emptiness, it can be power. The truth is, our society confuses the two constantly. We live in an age where being social is measured in likes, comments, and followers, where being busy is mistaken for being important, and where having people around is seen as the only way to be validated. This pressure makes many people terrified of being by themselves. They mistake the silence of solitude for the sting of loneliness. But if you really think about it, some of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen in the moments when you alone. Alone with your thoughts, alone with your ambitions, alone with the hard truths that no one else can face for you. Alone is where self-discovery happens. Alone is where growth happens. Alone is where the noise of the world fades long enough for you to hear your own voice. Loneliness, though, creeps in when you lose that perspective. It's the feeling of sitting with yourself and believing that your worth is missing, because no one is there to validate it. Loneliness tells you you're unwanted, unseen, unloved. It can twist solitude into something heavy, suffocating, and painful. It can make you feel like you're locked inside a room no one has the key to. Loneliness is not simply about the absence of people, it's about the absence of connection, both with others and with yourself. Here's the paradox. You need to learn how to be alone without being lonely, because life will not always surround you with people, applause, or validation. There will be nights where your phone is silent. There will be mornings where you wake up and it's just you against the world. There will be chapters in your life where you have no choice but to walk alone. If you fear aloneness, you'll run from it. But if you embrace it, you'll grow from it. That's why mastering the art of being alone without slipping into loneliness is one of the most powerful life skills you can ever build. In this journey, we'll go deeper. We'll explore why solitude is so valuable, why loneliness can be so destructive, and how to transform your relationship with being by yourself. We'll look at stories of great men and women who turned isolation into power, and we'll dig into strategies that can help you move from loneliness to strength. Because the truth is, being alone can be your greatest gift if you know how to use it. There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely, though on the surface, the two often look the same. Someone sitting quietly at a cafe with a book, someone walking by themselves down a long road, someone spending an evening at home without company. These scenes might be judged as lonely by the outside world. Yet the truth is, being alone doesn't always equal loneliness. Aloneness can be one of the most powerful states of growth, self-reflection, and peace. Loneliness, however, is something deeper. It is a hollow ache inside, a yearning for connection, a feeling that no one understands you or truly sees you. Many people confuse the two, and many spend their lives running from the very idea of being alone, because they believe solitude is the same as suffering. But here's where the perspective shifts. Aloneness is a physical state, while loneliness is an emotional one. You can be surrounded by dozens of people, at a party, in school, at work, or even in a relationship and still feel painfully lonely. And at the same time, you can sit in silence, disconnected from social interaction for hours or days, and feel completely at peace with yourself. That's why learning to embrace being alone is one of the most important skills you can develop, especially as you grow into adulthood. Because if you don't make peace with solitude, loneliness will always haunt you even when you're not technically alone. Being alone can be a teacher. It strips away the noise, the distractions, and the constant influence of other people's opinions. Alone, you come face to face with your thoughts, your insecurities, your dreams, and your fears. Many avoid this confrontation, distracting themselves with endless scrolling, constant noise, or unhealthy habits just to keep from hearing their own inner voice. But if you dare to stay with yourself, to sit in silence, to reflect without judgment. You begin to see who you really are. Loneliness, on the other hand, is born when there is a disconnection, either from others or from yourself. Sometimes, loneliness is rooted in the absence of external relationships. You might feel left out, rejected, or isolated. But other times, loneliness is actually internal. You might have people around you, yet you don't feel truly understood. You might laugh, talk, or socialize, but deep down, you feel unseen, unheard, and unknown. That's the kind of loneliness that hurts the most. So how do you distinguish the two? And more importantly, how do you transform your experience of solitude into strength instead of suffering? The answer lies in perspective. When you are alone, you can choose to see it as an opportunity. Time alone is time to grow. It's time to invest in yourself, your mind, your health, your goals. Alone, you can read, learn, practice, and create. Alone, you can map out your future, journal your thoughts, and strengthen your body. Alone, you can find clarity that the world often hides beneath noise and chaos. Loneliness, however, grows when you spend your alone time wishing you weren't. It grows when you define yourself only through relationships, validation, or constant distraction. It grows when you fear silence instead of embracing it. This is why some of the most successful and disciplined people in the world talk about the power of solitude. Writers, philosophers, leaders, and thinkers throughout history have retreated into solitude to find their greatest insights. They understood that being alone was not a curse, but a gift. At the same time, it's important to acknowledge that humans are wired for connection. We are social beings, and no one thrives in complete isolation. That's why loneliness can feel so devastating. It's the pain of unmet needs for love, belonging, and companionship. And this is where balance comes in. To live a full life, you need both solitude and connection. You need to learn how to enjoy your own company, and also how to build meaningful relationships with others. If you depend too much on people, you lose yourself. If you avoid people entirely, you lose community. The power lies in the middle, the ability to stand strong alone but also connect deeply when the time calls for it. Let's go deeper. Being alone allows you to discover self-sufficiency. It teaches you that your worth isn't determined by who validates you. You stop waiting for people to approve of your choices or to keep you entertained. Instead, you take responsibility for your happiness. Imagine how strong you become when you realize you can enjoy your own company without needing constant external stimulation. That's true freedom. But loneliness reminds us that freedom without connection can feel empty. You can achieve great things on your own, but if you never share them with others, you'll feel something missing. Loneliness pushes you to reach out, to open up, to allow others into your world. It teaches you empathy. It reminds you that others also feel the same longing, the same need to be understood. In this way, loneliness has a purpose. It nudges you toward building meaningful bonds instead of shallow interactions. Think about it. The world today is more connected than ever through social media, texting, and endless online platforms. Yet rates of loneliness and depression are at record highs. Why? Because surface-level interaction does not replace deep, genuine connection. You can have 1,000 followers but still feel that no one truly knows you. That's the paradox of our age. To overcome loneliness, you must prioritize quality over quantity in relationships. It's not about how many people you talk to, but about how authentic those conversations are. It's not about being constantly surrounded by noise, but about having a few people who truly care. But here's the key. You cannot form deep relationships with others until you first build one with yourself. And that comes from embracing solitude. When you love your own company, you stop entering relationships out of desperation. You stop settling for people who don't value you. You stop fearing rejection because you know you can stand strong even if you're alone. And paradoxically, that confidence makes you more attractive to others. People are drawn to those who are whole on their own. So the next time you find yourself alone, instead of rushing to fill the silence, pause, ask yourself, am I lonely, or am I simply unused to being alone? That question can change everything. Loneliness hurts, but being alone doesn't have to. Being alone can be empowering, liberating, and transformative. It can be the time when you plant the seeds for your future success. It can be the period where you build discipline, strengthen your mind, and learn to hear your own voice. It can be the phase that prepares you for deeper, healthier relationships later on. And when loneliness does strike, as it will, for all of us, don't run from it. Acknowledge it. Let it remind you of your need for authentic human connection, and take steps toward building it. Reach out to someone who matters. Be willing to be vulnerable. Take the risk of opening up, because in the end, being human is about balance. It's about finding strength in solitude and finding joy in connection. It's about knowing that being alone is not the same as being lonely, and that sometimes the most important relationship you'll ever build is with yourself.